Della Reese.
Okay.
I worked with her on the Royal Family. You know, after Red Fox died, I went on there and I was scared of her the first day because she's formidable. Hello, how are you? You say, come here, hug me, baby. I was terrified, but I love her to death. I love her to death.
It's time to sit down with someone you know. Hear the stories that remind you of, well, just how great you really are. It's time for the Valley Gold Show with yours truly, Debórah Benton. So take off your hard hat, leave your steel toes at the door as we go for the gold with Emmy Award-winning actress from 227 and Sister Sister, Jackéé Harry.
Coming one night only, Wednesday, May 1st, to the Dior Performing Arts Center in downtown Youngstown, it's the Dionne Warwick-Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. A dazzling concert of the timeless hits by Dionne Warwick and Lou Rawls, performed live by Debórah Benton and Leonard Julian with the Walt Barnes Jr. Band. Tickets on sale now at the Dior box office. One night only, the Dionne Warwick-Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. One night only.
Special delivery. That's what each newborn baby is in the hands of your team in the village. Dr. Rodney Hill and his professional staff of nurse practitioners, conveniently located on 5th Avenue in Youngstown, open weekdays and Saturdays. Excellent prenatal care is what helps ensure a healthy baby. So for the best women's health, reproductive and prenatal care, you'll want to be in the hands of Dr. Rodney Hill and Mama Carol. They're your team in the village where every delivery is special. No matter where you are, there's someone not very far away who is prepared to lay their life on the line for you, and they look something like this. So the next time you see them, say thanks. This message was brought to you by Ellie Black Phillips and Holden Funeral Home. Welcome to Valley Gold.
Thank you, Debórah. I'm glad to be here.
And I'm so glad to have you. We've been watching your career over the years and have always loved everything that we've seen you in. How did you get into the business?
I got into the business actually by accident. I grew up in New York City. I was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but I was raised there, and so I went to, all my schooling was done there from the age of 9 on. And I was in a school play, The King and I, when I was 14, junior high school. You know, it's like 7th through 9th grade. And I played the king. It was an all-girls school.
Okay.
And I was in the play, and I took my curtain call, you know, which is your bow at the end of the show. And they applauded and stood up, and it got infectious in me. I was on a high, and I didn't even know it. And I went to dinner with the girl that played, she was my best friend. She played Anna, and her name was Novella. And we went out with her parents and my family, and all night long I had this buzz. So from there, I began to take lessons down at the Henry Street Settlement, the Lower East Side of New York City, with a man named Dick Anthony Williams. He played Pretty Tony in the Mac, the one that got blown up in the chair. I took lessons with him for 5 years before I even could get up.
And he was giving acting lessons?
Acting lessons at the Henry Street Settlement. Woody King is the director. It's an historic building, an historic place for acting, you know, community theater and national plays as well. And a lot of, Intizaki's, the color... Inazaki Shange's, The Colored Girls.
Okay.
It was started there, and it went on to the public theater and became a big hit from there. And he's had a lot of other plays. But I started there, and I just continued. I went to music and art after 9th grade, High School of Music and Art in New York, and I continued. I was trained to become an opera singer. So everything I started, acting lessons, singing lessons, dancing lessons, while I went to school, because I was going to be a teacher, which I became. An American history teacher, and I taught at Brooklyn Technical. But all through it, I was doing plays. Then I was slated to do a play at Long Island University, which is right next to Brooklyn Technical, and it was called Dark of the Moon. And I did it, and I stood up, and the director loved me so much he got me into another play, and it just sort of just took off. And then I found that I didn't have any time for teaching because I was getting so many acting jobs.
Now these were mostly serious roles at that point, weren't they?
I was a dramatic actress. That's what I was fierce. Diana Sands, the late great Diana Sands, she was my idol, my mentor. I loved her, and I wanted to be just like her. She and Rosalind Cash at the time. I said, I want to act like them, so I styled my acting after them. Ruby Dee, that kind of thing, you know. I never thought
Sultry.
of comedy. Right. I never thought of comedy. I was just me, you know. But I don't know, it came out. My Aunt Verna, who I stayed with in Philadelphia for a couple of years, she had this great sense of humor. And I think she pulled it out of me, and I've been funny ever since.
So what do you
I talked to
prefer,
her today.
dramatic or?
I prefer dramatic.
Really?
Yes, because that's where I started, and then I got offered 227. I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but I got offered 227. I thought about it. It took me a while. I didn't just go, oh, give it to me. I really knew I was veering off into something, and you can't get back. Because once they find you funny, you can't do dramatic.
Okay.
And I knew that then. And a lot of people have turned things down. You know, Mary Alice, who's a great actress, she opted out of doing TV or anything because she wanted to remain a stage actress. And it's a choice you have to make. You know, and I made the choice because I figured it wouldn't make it. I read the script and I was like, I had 7 lines. I was like, this is not going to make it. Hey, Mary, how you doing? But I wasn't doing it then. I was just going, hey, Mary. Then when I got on the set, I added that because
when the lights came on.
I said, I only have 7 lines. I'm not going to be around long. What do I have to lose? And then the director said, don't do that. Don't do that voice. Just do your regular voice. And some voice came out of nowhere. It was the late Brandon Tartikoff. He was the head of NBC. He said, what happened? Who told her to change? I said, the director did. He said, no, do what you were doing. That's funny. And I tell you, after he said that, I just went nuts.
You went for it.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. You said you studied vocal music. So what voice did you sing when you were studying opera?
A second soprano.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Were there any particular parts in opera that you sought after?
Well, of course, and this is what happened. She's not late, but the great Leontine Price, who I met at Oprah's Legend Party. That's another story.
Oh yeah, you got to tell us about that too.
Oh God, she's my idol. I had never met her, but I wanted to be like her. But then when I saw what I had to do to maintain a career in opera, you have to discipline yourself. You can't talk all day. I wouldn't be doing this.
Oh, wait a minute.
You can't eat certain foods. I don't even think you should get married with opera. If you look at all the divas, their husband is either their manager or another singer because your life is that voice. That's why the diva comes from a vain and temperamental artist. It's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a person it's all about the voice. When you see them, it's all about me and my voice. And Kathleen Battles, diva. I'm so important. My voice is so great. You know, even the big guy, Luciano Pavarotti, he's a diva, even though he's a man, because it's all about their voice. Because we pay for that voice and we want it stellar. I said, that's not me, because I talk too much. I want to eat. I want to stay up late. So, but it put a demand on me that I didn't want to do, because I was good, but so I didn't think I'd be as great as her.
Tell me one song in opera that you perhaps coveted to do or perform.
There's so many of them. I didn't get too far. You know, we got to the Italian operas.
I guess you know where I'm going. I have got to hear a little bit of your...
No, I'm not warmed up. I got to warm up. Maybe later before we sign off.
Okay.
I'll just burst in the song.
There you go.
It's called Say To Mommy. Say to Mommy. Okay, wait till I warm up.
We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have more from the delightful diva, Jackéé. Right back after this.
Coming one night only, Wednesday, May 1st, to the Dior Performing Arts Center in downtown Youngstown, it's the Dionne Warwick Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. A dazzling concert of the timeless hits by Dionne Warwick and Lou Rawls, performed live by Debórah Benton and Leonard Julian with the Walt Barnes Jr. Band. Tickets on sale now at the Dior box office. One night only, the Dionne Warwick Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. One night only.
No matter where you are, there's someone not very far away who is prepared to lay their life on the line for you, and they look something like this. So the next time you see them, say thanks. This message was brought to you by Ellie Black Phillips and Holden Funeral Home.
And we're back with Jackéé Harry. Just before we took the break, you brought us up to speed in terms of how you actually broke into show business. But tell us something about your family. What was that like once you hit the stage in The King and I, and you felt this muse, so to speak, and you knew that you had hit your mark in terms of what you wanted to do with your career? Was there any kind of transition that your family watched you go through as you began to navigate those waters in entertainment?
That's a good question, because today young people ask me, what do you do to break into show business? And my answer has always been study, get your foundation together, know your craft, know your technique, so that you can have a firm foundation to continue in this business. Don't just do it on the fluke because somebody told you, oh, you're funny, and because you don't get it. It's superficial. You need depth, because some days you're not feeling that way, but you still got to perform. But what happened with me was I began to grow away from my family. Sort of like Tupac used to talk about before he passed, how he was so smart and so talented, and he was a middle-class kid, but he wanted to be a homie, and I became a middle-class kid by virtue of the fact that I got skipped in school. Very smart. I was finished so early. My mother eventually let me go away with, most of my teachers were Jewish in New York, and they took me to a world that I didn't have at home. So I'm living at home in New York, but my school life takes up most of my time because I loved it. And they would take me everywhere. It began with the museums, and they began to introduce me because I was talented, and it was only a few black people in the school, in music and art and my other schools, and they took me out of my class and took me away from my fellow black classmates, and I got into the white world at a very young age, and I used to come home, and I didn't have any friends and I had some. Nobody that you could relate with. Everybody in school lived in Long Island or Staten Island, and they were, kind of rich and, well-to-do, black or white. So it began to change me, and when I was doing it, I loved it, but when I came home, I was isolated. It had to be lonely. And that's what happened to Tupac. You really want to say, I don't want to do this. And had I had any notion that it would change me, I would have probably not be sitting here talking to you now. Because now I look back, I would have not made the decision to be different. I would want to be with my friends, but I was a strange little kid. My mother told me, I used to sing to the radio from age 7 on. And my sisters, my brother, if you talk to them today, that's what I did. I mimic Aretha Franklin so I could sound like her, because I didn't want to sing opera anymore. I wanted to be a soul sister, because I was beginning to feel like, oh, that's too proper. And so I began to be alienated, but they loved me, and they coddled me. I'm the youngest of 5, so I was able to continue, but it definitely parallel worlds, And my girlfriend, my best friend, her parents had a lot of money, and I used to go across the street and spend most of my time with them because they used to take me with them everywhere. Because I had no father growing up, Okay. So my mother. How many siblings? It's 5 of us, 3 boys and 2 girls, and I'm the youngest. So I was coddled. I mean, the most loved, really, And I don't know what happened, but they spoiled me rotten. But I was cool, But I just began to break away, and then around age 16 or 17, my personality really broke through with a friend of mine named Val Jean, and she took me out of some shell, and we used to have a ball. She made me cut class. I was feeling so guilty. I thought I was going to die. I could not believe it. But we had so much fun. We walked across the bridge. I mean, I opened up, and I became another person. But like I say, it didn't include my family proper. Even to this day, my sister said, "You a phony little kid." I began to talk differently by virtue of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But now that I'm, older, I see it may not be the greatest choice for a young person to totally become something else, unless that's what you want. So how would you advise another parent who their child may have the same situation where they live in one circumstance or situation, and their child has an opportunity to expand their world through educational pursuits, maybe by people who have more means than they do? How would you advise them to create balance? To keep them at home more. I was gone a lot. My mother had to work all day long, so they kept an eye on me. So by virtue of that, she had to let me go. But I'd have them in the community more with their own. It depends where you live now. Sure. If you want your kid out of a certain situation, I don't know. You have to make sure you keep a contact with them. Keep a little tether on them so they don't get so out there that they can't get back. Because, your class and your identification, all of that is so important when you grow up. Yeah. Because then you get lost. And if you begin to emulate other people and you're hanging out, your identity can get lost in theirs. And that's what happened to me. But it made me, But I would advise them to keep them a little closer and find something for them to do around the house with their brothers and sisters and their family, and then let them go off and do it if they want to do it. But at first, keep them a little closer, because it can really isolate you. But if you're very talented and very gifted, it's going to happen anyway. It's like Will Smith. What happened to him? Yeah. From Philly. He didn't even know, look at him. He went from rap to national television. But look what they labeled him. They labeled him a white rapper in terms of, remember he was doing, parents just don't understand. They thought that was just too middle class and too out there. It wasn't, it wasn't hip hop. And they put him down for it, but he broke on through anyway. But he talks about how, what's that mean? He talks about how if he had a choice, he would have stayed in the hood. But his parents, pushed him on. Right. So you got to know your kid.
And then too, in retrospect, you never know what would have happened had you done it differently.
Yes. You never know. But it was destiny, so I'll leave it at that. But I look at my life now, I'm quite dedicated to my career, and you got to make a choice if you're going to be dedicated to career or home life or whatever, and now that I see, like I'll probably be teaching again. I love kids, and I love to teach. I love to see them learn. I love to see them go, I got it. I love that, and so I will go back to that. I know that. That'll be my fourth career, I call it.
I'm really enjoying this, especially because I've only seen you in the comedic roles. And to learn, just sit here in these few moments and to see that there's so much depth to Jackéé. This is great. We'll be right back with more words of wisdom from the wonderful Jackéé. Right back after this.
Coming one night only, Wednesday, May 1st, to the Dior Performing Arts Center in downtown Youngstown, it's the Dionne Warwick Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. A dazzling concert of the timeless hits by Dionne Warwick and Lou Rawls, performed live by Debórah Benton and Leonard Julian with the Walt Barnes Jr. Band. Tickets on sale now at the Dior box office. One night only. The Dionne Warwick Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. One night only.
Special delivery. That's what each newborn baby is in the hands of your team in the village. Dr. Rodney Hill and his professional staff of nurse practitioners, conveniently located on 5th Avenue in Youngstown, open weekdays and Saturdays. Excellent prenatal care is what helps ensure a healthy baby. So for the best women's health, reproductive and prenatal care, you'll want to be in the hands of Dr. Rodney Hill and Mama Carol. They're your team in the village, where every delivery is special.
Can you tell us about what it was actually like when you got your first big break?
Well, when I first got my first big break, I was I already had a mini big break. I was on a soap opera called Another World.
Okay.
Playing
You
a character.
remember that?
Yes, it's defunct now, but it was very popular at the time. I was Lily Mason. And I got that from a show that I did, a workshop I did, which is when they work a play up from the ground up, like they did Dreamgirls, and then they take it to the Broadway stage. And
so wait a minute, give us a little bit of what Lily was like.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to tell you how it happened. This Toni Morrison play was called New Orleans. It was about Storyville when the red light district was legal from about 1912 to 1927. And I played a woman of the night. My name was Rochelle Lafort. Me and 7 other women, with this red light district theme in the thing. And I only had 7 lines to sing.
There's that 7 line again.
I know. And casting lady was there from Another World. And I did my lines. And I danced, and I had on my little tights. Oh, you don't want to see that. Woo. And she came back. She said, I got a little part for you. You want to do it? It's 2 lines. She told my agent. He told me. I said, sure. And the line was, who is it? Oh, it's you. That was it. And I got on the show, Another World, and they kept calling me. 2 lines, 5 lines. 2 months, they offered me a contract. It was great, but I was a woman of the night, like I said. And I used to wear my hair natural and short, which I would never do now.
I can't even picture.
Oh, you should see it. Maybe I'll put them on the internet. Now that I'm not afraid of them. Everybody says I look pretty, but, I look at it. And I was thinner. Ugh.
But you've always been pretty.
Oh, thank you. But I got on there, and from Another World, I got to audition for 227, like everybody else in New York. They did a test on a camera, and they sent it to Hollywood. And they beckoned. They said, come on. And I went on a plane. I got on there. They were me and 2 other girls. I was like, oh, I got this. They didn't call anybody else. About 10 minutes before takeoff, about 30 girls got on that plane. We all knew each other. We had a ball. We went out to Hollywood to NBC, and we auditioned 300 women when I got there.
Wow.
Right, that was just us on that one plane, and I knew everybody. They had us in a Howard Johnson's Lodge, all of us together. It was like a pajama party. And I went in, and I read for 2 roles. I read for Sandra, and I read for Rose, which Elena Reed finally wound up playing. And Brandon Tartikoff loved me. He said she's the one. He's the one who wanted me because, Marla, I love her, but Marla wanted the woman that originated it in the stage play 227. So she was being loyal. But I got it, and I didn't think it was a big thing. I was already working. I was doing 2 movies. I was doing Moscow on the Hudson with Robin Williams and another movie. Okay. So I was quite successful, So it wasn't like I went out there, oh, I got to get it. And maybe that helped me because I wasn't really,
You weren't desperate. You were comfortable whether you got it or not.
Yeah, but I wanted it. you know, because when we left out of the room, it was me, Shirley, Ralph, and a couple of others, and they said, oh, okay, Shirley, we'll see you tomorrow. And,
Shirley, right?
yeah, and we said, oh, she's got it. And I went on about my business. I let it go because I had to go back to work. They called me the next morning. They said, that night. And they said, can you come back? I said, okay, but I got to leave at a certain time because I got a job. Stupid me. Like, no, come on, you got to stay. I said, no. I went back in one time and I got on the plane. On the plane, they called my agent. I got to the airport. I got a message to call him. I called. He said, you got to get back on the plane and go back. You got the part. It was like a whirlwind. So I went out there to do it. I said, I'll be back home in a couple of weeks, you know, do the pilot.
This really had not sunk in.
Still didn't sunk in when I did it. I commuted for 2 years after I got 227. I said, it's not going to last. I kept my soap opera job.
And how many years did that last?
5 years.
Wow.
I had to quit the soap.
I guess.
See, so it was like a break and then a big break, you know.
So what was
so it
it
never
like
sank in.
Okay. What was it like working with that cast of characters?
On 227? Stressful.
Now see, because you all seem to just gel so naturally, and
Me and Marla had great timing. Great, she had got great time, but she had gotten it with George Sherman Hemsley on the Jeffersons. I mean, she stole that show, and they used to say, "Oh, Jackie, you're the best." And I said, if it wasn't for Marla, I wouldn't have gotten as good as I did so quick.
Okay.
I mean, it was quick.
So you just working with greats brings you up to another.
Yeah, because she said, "Come on, let's get it back and forth," you know, and she
what was
didn't
the
ease
toughest
up.
thing about it?
Being so successful so quick. Somehow that
See,
show got.
most of us want to know what that's like. So
I didn't expect it, and it came overnight, literally. And I was popular on the soap opera, and so I was kind of used to having some steady money. But Hollywood, it's like you get this much money on the soaps. Hollywood, you get this much money.
Wait a minute, slow down. And you said that was a difficult thing.
Yes. What do you do?
Why?
Well, what do I do? You know, and I'm leaving out something. I was married at the time.
Okay.
And that's probably what the stress was. I had to leave, go to Hollywood. I thought I'd be back.
So did your husband? He didn't.
It didn't work out well. And that's not the only reason. You know, my leaving was not the only reason, but it was stressful, and I wasn't really paying attention to my personal life.
Okay.
So I became a workaholic. Always have been. I still am. It's one of my flaws. We can get into that later. And I had to take my sister with me and her kids to LA because I didn't want to be alone. But it was very lonely for the first couple of years. I was very successful, but quite lonely. And people, they say, Jackie, how can that be when you're making money and you're the toast of the town? Because I was a real person. I hadn't become Jackéé then.
Okay.
You know, it was just a name that I had gotten before. But out there, it was Hollywood. And you go to this premiere, you go there, you go there. Sort of like what's happening to Jennifer Hudson now, I can imagine. You become whatever they mold you into. I want to please everybody, be bubbly, be lovely, be Jackéé, be Sandra.
And no personal time.
Yes, it was terrible. And and then doing the show, it was stressful because I was beginning to get more and more lines and began to, I was very uncomfortable for the cast too. Now, this is in retrospect. I had no idea. I thought I wasn't going to last that long, but as it kept going, I had to keep going with it, and so it was very stressful for the first 3 years of that show.
Coming one night only, Wednesday, May 1st, to the Dior Performing Arts Center in downtown Youngstown, it's the Dionne Warwick-Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. A dazzling concert of the timeless hits by Dionne Warwick and Lou Rawls, performed live by Debórah Benton and Leonard Julian with the Walt Barnes Jr. Band. Tickets on sale now at the Dior box office. One night only. The Dionne Warwick-Lou Rawls Tribute Concert. One night only.
So now you've done a number of movies. You've been in soaps. You've done Sister Sister. You've worked with some of the greatest names in the industry. Who are some of your favorite personalities to work with?
Well, Marla. I mean, we didn't get along
Gibbs.
at first because I didn't know her, and it was kind of different. But just turned out to be the best woman that I could meet. Della Reese.
Okay.
I worked with her on The Royal Family. After Red Fox died, I went on there, and I was scared of her the first day because she's formidable. Hello, how are you? You say, come here, hug me, baby. I was terrified, but I love her to death. I love her to death. I love Whoopi Goldberg. I worked with her on Everybody Hates Chris.
So tell me what's so fantastic about working with Whoopi.
Whoopi, when you see her and everybody sees her, they talk. She's another one, the dichotomy of being who you are and living. I mean, she's from Berkeley,
Okay.
so she comes from like a black middle class thing, you know, even though she had, you know, little sorrows, big sorrows rather, growing up. Black people didn't get her for years. You know, and I never thought about her. I just loved the color purple. First time I sort of hated it, I guess because it was painful. I've seen that movie maybe 58 times. I love it. I just love it. And I love her in it, you know. So I got to meet her, and I've known her. But then we got to work together 3 days in a row. Long hours, 10, 12 hours. She's provocative, evocative, brilliant, quite proud, sexy. I don't know, people go, oh, Jackie.
So give me a scenario or an illustration or example of something that you experienced while working with Whoopi. Now I'm really picking your brain on this one.
No, we were on the set, and I was asking her how she got so involved with somebody so fine as Frank Langella. And she says, wouldn't you like to know? And I saw it all, and then when she said that, I went, I see what he dug in you. You know, she's just got that little quirk thing, and you know, she looks over those glasses at you, and you just feel like it's all about you. She pays attention to you. She listens, which I'm learning to do. It's been all these years, and I'm not a good listener. I'm becoming one. You know, you have to let some of that ego go to be a good listener. Like, you're a good listener, I can tell. You know, no, Oprah's a good listener. It really helps. So she just, and she's thoughtful and caring. She brought food in. She made sure I had something to eat during lunch. I mean, she let me just be with her all day long. I didn't feel like a pest. And I wasn't following her, but she was like, come on, Jack. Come on.
Good old friend.
Yeah, and now we are, you know, so. And, you know, she's like that with everybody. She's just not personal.
Just real down-to-earth people.
Real warm, real giving, real loving, but she don't bite her tongue.
Okay.
You
and
know.
see, this is great because, again, you're giving us snapshots of people that we only see from afar, so many of us. And when we do see them, usually it's got the spin on it that the media currently wants to portray. So we're getting the real deal here. This is great.
Yeah.
So who else are some of the ones that you've loved working with?
Gregory Hines, the late Gregory Hines.
Oh, yeah, he was phenomenal.
Joe Morton, I know he did Brother from Another Planet.
Right.
I did a lot of plays with him. Essie Paitha Murkison from Law and Order. Okay. She won the Emmy for that movie she just did. I can't think of it now. That's horrible. Lackawanna Blues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're good and quick.
Yeah. You know, but these are friends of mine, but it's a joy you see in them getting to open up and be themselves and get all the accolades, you know. It's like Halle Berry. I know her very well. I've never worked with her, but I love her. We're born on the same day, August 14th.
So tell us what you love about Halle, because again, we only know the screen image.
Oh, Halle is a whip. Halle is smart, intelligent, and down to earth. She's a sister. Okay. You know, she's had quite a public life, you know, as we've seen, but she's very happy now. And I saw her at the St. Regis when I'm sorry to veer off, but that's another,
okay.
My favorite person that I love anytime, any day, wake me up if I'm in a coma, Diane Carroll.
Really?
Oh, you would love her. Now, she has stories. She taught me the secret about knowing about real pearls and diamonds.